This is TLC to go.
Let's face it, health sciences faculty, you're under immense pressure. I mean, it's not enough to just deliver incredibly complex material. You need to make sure students get it, truly remember it, and, well, can actually apply it under pressure. So how do you cut through all that information overload? How do you genuinely set them up for success, not just in your classroom, but, for their future demanding professions? Today, our mission is really to give you a bit of a shortcut. We're sifting through some powerful, actionable insights, specifically for you, our dedicated health sciences faculty listener. And we're doing it by tapping into a fantastic internal resource, the UTHSC Teaching and Learning Center, or TLC. This exploration pulls directly from their student success section, offering practical strategies you can integrate into your teaching, like right away.
That's right.
Okay, so today's mission is clear then. We're going to unpack key advice and techniques from the TLC's student success resources that you, as health sciences faculty, can leverage directly. The goal, well, it's to empower your students, enhance their learning outcomes, and ultimately maybe lighten your load a bit by building more capable, independent learners. So this UTHSC Teaching and Learning Center, the TLC, it sounds like a truly rich resource. Before we dive into the specifics, can you give us the lay of the land? What's its overall mission? And, specifically what makes this student success section a must-read for our listeners?
Well, at its core, the TLC aims to support faculty in becoming the best possible educators they can be, which of course naturally translates into student success. It's about building a community of teaching excellence. The Student Success section specifically offers practical insights into how students learn best and what conditions they really need to thrive. Its foundational premise is a simple but incredibly powerful statement. Planning, preparation, and sleep are vital to the success of students at UTHSC.
Planning, preparation, and sleep. Okay.
Now, at first glance, that might seem like, basic advice for the students themselves. But for faculty, understanding why these three elements are so crucial provides immense insight. It really does. It's not just about telling students, hey, you need to plan better. It's recognizing that without proper planning tools or strategies, students are already at a disadvantage. Without adequate preparation, their cognitive load just skyrockets, making deep learning really difficult. And without sleep, well, that's a whole other story, which I think we'll get into, but it fundamentally impacts their ability to consolidate memories and even learn new material effectively.
That's a crucial connection. It really shifts the perspective, doesn't it? Knowing that these foundational needs, planning, preparation, and especially sleep, are pretty much non-negotiable for student success, that can really transform how you, as faculty, approach your teaching. It's not just about what you teach, but understanding the conditions under which students are best equipped to actually learn it. It prompts us to consider, how can we, in our course design, our assignments, even just our casual advice, reinforce and support these fundamental pillars for our students rather than, inadvertently undermining them? Are there ways we can kind of bake these principles into our courses?
Exactly. It moves beyond simply delivering content. It's really about creating an environment where students can actually absorb and apply that content effectively. It's about empowering them to take ownership of their learning, recognizing that their success is, well, it's a holistic endeavor.
Okay, so with that crucial understanding of the student's foundation, the planning, prep, and sleep, let's turn to the how. The TLC doesn't just preach. It provides concrete, actionable strategies. First up, turning assessment into active learning with practice testing. Forget passive reading, right? The real secret weapon, according to the TLC and backed by pretty robust research, is active recall. Practice testing isn't just an assessment. It's a learning superpower that fundamentally rewires the brain for retention. How can we, as faculty, wield this power?
You've definitely hit on one of the most impactful strategies, and it's often underestimated. Practice testing, or active retrieval as it's often called, is highlighted as a standout study tool for excellent reasons. Really robust research, including a landmark 2013 study, clearly demonstrates its measurable benefits. These benefits far outweigh less active methods like simply rereading notes or, highlighting textbooks, which we see a lot of.
Oh yeah, the highlighter graveyard.
Exactly. The magic here is in the effort of recalling. When students actively try to retrieve information from memory, it doesn't just test what they know, it actually strengthens the neural pathways associated with that knowledge, makes it more accessible and durable for future recall. It's powerful stuff.
So strengthening the pathways makes sense.
Yeah, so for health sciences faculty, this means thinking beyond just those high-stakes summative exams. How can you integrate low-stakes quizzes, self-assessment tools, or frequent retrieval exercises into your courses? Imagine a quick, anonymous poll at the start of a lecture on pharmacology. Which receptor type is primarily targeted by drug X? Simple, right?
Quick hit.
Or, after explaining a complex physiological process, maybe have students spend just 2 minutes writing down everything they remember about it. Then they compare notes with a partner. These aren't just assessments in the traditional sense. They're vital learning opportunities, where the very act of recalling information itself strengthens memory.
That makes so much sense. It's like building a mental muscle, like you said, not just pouring information into a bucket hoping some stays. But I can hear some faculty thinking, look, I barely have time to cover the core curriculum, let alone add more quizzes or retrieval exercises. What does the TLC suggest for integrating these practices efficiently without, overwhelming the syllabus or the grading load?
That's a really valid concern, absolutely. And the beauty of retrieval practice is that it doesn't always need to be formal or graded. That's key. You can incorporate low-stakes or even no-stakes activities. Very effective.
Okay, like what?
For instance, maybe creating a bank of ungraded practice questions that students can access anytime online, or dedicating the first 5 minutes of each class to a quick brain dump where students just write down 3 key takeaways from the previous session. We can collect those, quickly skim them to gauge understanding, maybe see where the gaps are, but not necessarily grade them individually. The goal is the practice of recall, not achieving the perfect score right then. Peer teaching is another great one. Have students explain a concept to each other. That's a powerful retrieval exercise right there. These methods are efficient, they engage students immediately, and they give you immediate feedback on areas needing review, all without adding a significant grading burden.
That proactive approach sounds incredibly beneficial. It seems like even small, consistent acts of retrieval can have a massive impact.
Okay, now, another common area where faculty often face challenges, group work. We want collaboration, right? But we often get, well, let's just say mixed results, sometimes messy results.
Chuckles lightly. Yeah, I think we've all been there.
The TLC resource introduces a powerful concept here, cultivating effective group work using contracts. What's the secret sauce beyond just putting students together in a group?
You're right. Group work can absolutely be a minefield. Mixed experiences for both students and faculty. The secret, as highlighted by the TLC and reinforced by researchers, really lies in these group contracts or team expectations agreements. These aren't just administrative hoops to jump through, they are foundational documents. They actually transform a collection of individuals into a genuinely effective team. The core idea is that productive collaboration doesn't just happen by accident, it has to be designed.
Designed collaboration. I like that. Yeah. When students draft these agreements at the very beginning of a group project, they're forced to proactively address potential pitfalls right from the start. The TLC, drawing from insights like MIT Human Resources work on team development, provides specific actionable tips. It encourages students to explicitly define, 1, clear goals and objectives. What exactly are they trying to achieve together? 2, individual roles and responsibilities. Who is doing what? How will contributions be assessed? That's a big one.
Huge one.
3, deadlines and milestones. How will they stay on track and assure accountability? 4, meeting times and communication methods. How and when will they connect? What's the protocol for missed meetings or, unresponsive members? And 5, conflict resolution. What happens if there's a disagreement? How will they address non-participation?
Having that plan up front.
Exactly. By establishing these clear expectations up front, faculty empower students to navigate group dynamics constructively. It shifts the burden of troubleshooting conflict away from you, the faculty member, in the middle of a project, and puts it onto the students, who have agreed upon protocols to follow. This investment of time at the outset dramatically improves the quality of the final product and, honestly, the learning experience for everyone involved.
It certainly sounds beneficial, no doubt, but let's be realistic. Guiding students to create these contracts takes faculty time up front. It just does. What's the return on investment, the ROI for faculty? And how does the TLC suggest we make this investment manageable without just adding another heavy layer of administration?
That's a critical question, absolutely. The ROI for faculty is actually quite significant, primarily in terms of reduced headaches and improved learning outcomes down the line. Think of the time you don't spend mediating group disputes later on, or chasing down individual contributions, or dealing with those last-minute collapses of group projects.
Yeah, okay, fair point.
By front-loading that effort, you're essentially building self-regulated teams. The TLC suggests providing clear templates or guiding questions for these contracts, so students aren't just starting from scratch. That saves time. You could dedicate a brief class session to discussing why these agreements are important, maybe even show an example of a good contract. Then, have the group submit them as a very low-stakes early assignment. You're not grading the quality of their team dynamics per se, but the completion and the thoughtfulness of their agreement.
Okay, completion and thoughtfulness. Manageable.
Exactly. This framework makes the investment manageable and pays dividends in smoother project execution and stronger student collaboration skills, which are, frankly, essential skills for any health profession they're going into.
That's brilliant. Turning a potential administrative task into a real pedagogical tool. Okay, moving on. The resource also explores an idea that's really fundamental to long-term learning, championing retrieval-based learning for lasting knowledge, not just rote memorization for the next test. We've touched on practice testing, but retrieval-based learning feels like a broader concept. Is that right?
It absolutely is. Practice testing is a specific form of retrieval-based learning, a really effective one. But the overarching concept, as explored in various educational resources, differentiates these active strategies from what we call passive studying tactics. Think of passive tactics as simply rereading your notes, highlighting pages, maybe watching a lecture recording again.
Things that feel productive.
Exactly. They can feel productive in the moment. But research, reinforced by resources like rethinking and rereading, shows they're often pretty inefficient because they don't force the brain to work very hard. Retrieval, however, actively strengthens those memory pathways we talked about, like searching for a file on your computer. The more often you successfully locate it, the faster and easier it becomes to find the next time. In the health sciences, this is absolutely vital. It's not enough to just recognize a symptom on a multiple-choice question.
Right, you need to recall it.
You need to recall the associated condition, the differential diagnoses, the treatment protocols, quickly and accurately, often under pressure. Flashcards are a classic example of retrieval practice, but retrieval-based learning goes further.
So how can faculty encourage this beyond flashcards?
Well, for faculty, this translates into designing activities that require students to actively recall information in varied contexts. This could be asking open-ended questions during a lecture, presenting mini cases where they have to apply concepts from memory to diagnose a patient, or asking them to teach a complex physiological process back to a peer without looking at their notes. That's a tough one, but very effective.
Yeah, teaching forces recall.
Definitely. Even something as simple as asking students to close their books and summarize the key points of a chapter before class, then comparing it to their notes, is powerful. It makes them the active agents in their own learning, building a robust, accessible knowledge base rather than a fragile one that disappears after the exam.
It really is about engagement, isn't it? Making the brain work harder, but in a constructive way, pushing beyond just recognition to actual recall. I think we've all been there, that feeling of trying to cram for an exam at 3 a.m. It feels productive, maybe. But what you're highlighting, backed by this research, is that we're actually sabotaging our own brains. And speaking of foundational elements for learning, the resource brings up an often underestimated factor in student success: the critical role of adequate sleep.
Yes, that 3 a.m. cram session is the perfect segue. It's such a common student experience, isn't it? But it's fundamentally counterproductive. Harvard's work on sleep learning and memory makes it profoundly clear. Sleep has an immense and often underestimated impact on learning and memory. It's not just about feeling rested, it's actually a critical phase for cognitive function. The research states that memories only consolidate, meaning become stable, during sleep. During deep sleep phases, the brain literally rehearses and files away the information it acquired while you were awake, moving it from fragile short-term storage to more durable long-term memory.
Wow, okay, so it's actively working while we sleep.
Absolutely. Furthermore, sleep deprivation directly reduces the ability to learn and retain knowledge. When you're sleep deprived, your attention span shrinks, your concentration suffers, making it harder to absorb new material in class in the first place. Your problem-solving skills decrease, your reaction times slow, and your ability to retrieve information accurately is impaired. For health sciences students who are learning complex, sometimes life-or-death material, this is a really dangerous deficit.
That's a sobering thought.
Yeah. They might be able to cram and pass a test in the short term, maybe, but the knowledge won't be durable. It won't be readily accessible when they really need it in a clinical setting down the road.
So while we as faculty obviously can't tuck our students into bed,
Sorry.
Understanding this physiological necessity provides crucial context for student performance, doesn't it? It makes us perhaps more mindful about workload expectations, considering the cumulative impact of multiple demanding courses. And it encourages a broader perspective on the kind of holistic well-being that's essential for academic success. How can we, maybe subtly, encourage students to prioritize this?
Exactly. It informs our empathy and our understanding when maybe a student is struggling. While we can't enforce bedtimes, we can certainly educate. You might include a brief mention in your syllabus or during orientation about the importance of sleep for learning. Maybe even link to resources like that Harvard article or something similar from the TLC. We can also design our courses to encourage consistent spaced learning rather than last-minute cramming, which, as we just discussed, retrieval practice helps with anyway.
Right, it all connects.
It does. By spreading out assessment and learning opportunities, we implicitly support a healthier, more sustainable study pattern. We can also simply model a healthy attitude towards work-life balance ourselves, acknowledging that sustained, high-quality effort requires proper rest. It's about creating a culture where students feel empowered to prioritize their well-being, knowing it directly impacts their academic and future professional success. Their brains literally need that downtime to cement what they've learned in your classes, and that's a message worth repeating.
That's incredibly powerful. Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. What does this all mean for you, the listener, the health sciences faculty member, navigating the demands of teaching the next generation of professionals? We've explored harnessing practice testing, cultivating effective group work through contracts, championing retrieval-based learning, and recognizing the critical role of sleep. These aren't just isolated tips.
No, not at all. What's fascinating here, I think, is that these aren't just a list of student tips. They're really powerful lenses through which faculty can refine their own teaching practices and course design. By understanding and actively promoting these techniques, whether it's with how you design your assessments, how you structure your group projects, how you frame the importance of active recall, or even just acknowledging the physiological necessity of rest, you're doing more than just delivering content. You're building more resilient, more effective, and ultimately more successful learners. You're fostering an environment where students don't just survive the intensity of health sciences programs, but actually thrive. It's about shifting from being just an information provider to being more like a strategic architect of deep, lasting learning.
A strategic architect of learning. I like that framing. The insights from the UTHSC TLC are truly valuable. These seemingly simple yet profound strategies, when adopted and encouraged by you, the faculty, can make a significant difference in your students' academic journeys, equipping them not just to pass exams, but for the rigorous, lifelong learning demands ahead in the health sciences.
Absolutely. And, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it raises, I think, an important question for all of us as educators. Beyond imparting specialized knowledge, how can we, as educators in the health sciences, best empower our students to become lifelong, self-regulated learners? How do we best equip them with the tools for continuous success, not just in their studies now, but in their future, incredibly demanding professions where knowledge is constantly evolving and the stakes are so high?
That is a powerful thought to consider. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into maximizing student success using the resources from the UTHSC TLC. We invite you to join us for other deep dives into resources that can enhance your professional practice and understanding.